Humanitarian aid relief currently is underway at Site 5 in Dunoon, outside Milnerton in the Western Cape. This, of course, the site where over 1,000 informal structures have burnt to the ground. At the moment, the Gift of the Givers is busy with coordinating with relief efforts such as providing food as well as water to affected residents. Let me just step out of shot. What you can see is earlier we brought you visuals of the people trying desperately to rebuild their homes after the devastating fire. There have been calls for people not to rebuild in that area because it was deemed to be unsafe, but many residents telling us that they have no choice. Of course, at the moment, what you will see is some residents that have been displaced in the fire. Let me try and get some of them. Sir, good day to you. We are at SABC. You've lost your home in this fire. Explain to us what your situation is at the moment.
I can't say nothing because of I just arrived yesterday, but there's someone who can explain more than me because of me. I just arrived yesterday.
And have you lost any possessions in this fire? Do you know people have lost possessions in this fire?
As I said, I just arrived yesterday. I didn't see anyone, but you can try to ask anyone.
Okay, not a problem, sir. Thank you. Okay, so this gentleman telling us that he just arrived here yesterday to the devastation. Of course, I'm also joined by Ali Sablay from the Gift of the Givers. They are busy with relief efforts at the moment. We see that it's time for people to be given water and food. This is what they call soft relief. Ali, you mentioned to me earlier on that at this moment, this is the kind of relief that you are providing, have been providing since Friday. But also there have been desperate pleas from the community. I spoke to the community leader just now. She was saying that the biggest need now is that ahead of schools opening on Wednesday, children don't have supplies, they don't have birth certificates, ID documentation. What is your appeal at this moment?
You know, we are appealing for Home Affairs as of yesterday to send an emergency, one of their buses or trucks to come and register the people here. There's thousands of people undocumented here. There's about 1,000 learners that are starting school on Wednesday. Unfortunately, it's going to be a mammoth task for the parents. Some of them are starting grade 1 and grade R. You cannot enter the school without your proper identification in terms of documents, birth certificates, etc. They have lost everything. There's people who say they cannot register for social grants, they do not have proper IDs. So we are appealing to Home Affairs. More than anybody else, the people need those documents, as they do not want the children to hang around in the disaster area. They would prefer having them at schools, and that's also in a form of dignity. There are people here that are appealing just for that kind of. They're not asking the government much, but in terms of having that Home Affairs being registered, we are here on the ground to issue that soft relief. As we do know, there's not the exact numbers of people affected yet because of the vast nature of the devastation, and that also hinders registering people, not having the identity documents. So we are providing that soft relief in terms of breakfast, lunch and supper, giving them that 5,000 meals per meal on a daily basis. And then once we have that proper figures, we will then extend our humanitarian contribution or distribution in terms of blankets, etc. But our main concern is, number one, ensuring that soft relief is given out every day. Number two, ensure that by Wednesday learners have school uniform and stationery, and just getting them into school so there's no interruption into their school uniform, school calendar. We do know the trauma they've gone through already, just in terms of coming back to nothing, no roof over their head. So we are appealing to the officials to get their officials on the ground as of yesterday to register these people.
The gentleman I spoke to just now, I asked him about what happened. He told us that he just arrived yesterday. He seemed a bit shell-shocked in terms of the devastation. You were saying 2 helicopters we know were involved in water bombing this area, and you've called it earlier one of the worst informal settlement fires you've seen in the Western Cape.
Most definitely. The last kind of devastation we have seen was 2013 in Kailicha in Site B, when there was a number of tracks burns out, but that surpasses this. This is one section completely wiped out, and some people have just returned from the Eastern Cape. We spoke to one gentleman on the first day. He just arrived with his bags from the Eastern Cape, and he was coming back to no home. He has lost everything. And then there was people who came back from work who didn't know what was actually happening. They heard there's a fire in Dunoon, and when they came on site, they saw their homes were up in fire. Those people are currently living with family members in faith groups that open up their churches, etc., and their halls to accommodate the people. But our operations will continue. As I said again, our major concern is Wednesday's back to school. There's about 1,000 learners who won't have that start to that exciting period of going back to school, as all the documentation, school uniform and stationery completely burnt out.